Okay, so welcome back for anyone that hasn't been with us. Uh, so it's been a couple of days, been busy with work, but I don't think that's going to affect me being rusty, since it's been a long time since I've played it anyway. So for those that don't remember, just got off of Korthos Island, Newbie Island. We're gonna go ahead and head to, I think it's called Stormreach. The main city. We're gonna run some quests. I, I'm gonna try to see if there's any new quests since I last played. I can check. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna run through some of my favorites that I can remember. There's definitely a lot. First Lifer, which is someone that hasn't gone through True Resurrection, requires the least amount of XP, especially if I'm doing normal, hard, then elite. There's going to be more than enough XP. So I don't need to worry too much about strategizing quests. As you get through higher lives, then you will find that the amount of XP that you need goes up, especially once you unlock hard and elite. And the reason for that is you generally are kind of stronger. That's kind of, to some degree, that's been their balancing factor, which is fine. But the downside is, right, apparently there's an event going on that I just completed. Anyway, so once you start running hard and elite, without doing the normal beforehand, even though there's more XP per mission, there is going to be less total XP because you're running the quest less times. And once you've gotten elite, there's no point in really rerunning it. Gate Gamers Hostel. So it looks like that one's new. Generally, the guide, if I can remember correctly, gold means that they have a quest that you can pick up. Especially the chalices means that that's a quest giver. If there's a door, that means that's a quest entrance. If the door is gray, then that means you don't have the quest. If the door is gold, which I don't think there is any because I haven't picked up any quests, then that means that you can go in. And if the door is red, that means you don't own that content. So let me see what it takes. Generally, the harbor is kind of lower levels. Usually, if I remember correctly, by about level 5, you've moved on to the market. So, I probably won't be here for long. That being said, there are some higher level zones. The main one I can remember is Spinner's Prison, which is the portal to the Forgotten Realms, which is like level 16-ish. So there is some that's not. No. I have to be level 10. So it might not be a matter of quest level. It might just be a matter of, owning it. It might just be a matter of level. Okay, so I was gonna bind at the Spirit Binder, but I don't remember where I usually bound. I know you can at most inns, but I don't remember where I usually bound, which is unfortunate. Whatever, I'll just try not to die, I guess. Yeah, let's go ahead and try that. Okay, so let's grab you. Let's see. New in town, looking for work. I think I can help you out with that. If you'll return the favor, it seems I've fallen into ill favor with the Quickfoot gang. What with my penchant for games of chance. Now those ruffians are headed to my warehouse. Who knows what they'll take, or worse, destroy. There's also some delicate cargo in there. Explosive even. Explosives? No doubt they're reserved for mining operations and not for, say, pirate ship cannons. Hey, they're called privateers. And it just so happens that House Kendrick is my largest account. They've been blasting huge chunks of Zendrick these days. No ideas what they're up to. Uh-huh. Sure, okay. I'll avoid the explosive. So for anyone not aware, DDO is based primarily in Eberron, which at the time was a... Okay, this is a solo mission, which means it should be super easy. And low XP, but that's fine. And so it's based primarily in Eberron, which was a new campaign world at the time, towards the end of the 3.5 life cycle. Okay, I should probably actually be using my cooldowns. Right, so towards the end of the 3.5 life cycle, and the game came out almost... I don't know if it was just because it was the newest system, or if it was like a deal where they wanted to get people interested in the system, or in the campaign world, but for whatever reason, they coincided relatively closely. I do know, their first expansion was actually a foray into the Forgotten Realms, so it's not entirely Eberron. Though I believe the main chunk of it was Eberron when I left. So I assume that that's still the case, but I couldn't say for certain. I'm sure we'll find out. So the interesting thing with this particular area, if I remember correctly, and watch I get most of this wrong, is that this is a city called Stormreach, which is kind of on the borders of like the frontier. And of course the issue with being on the frontier is that it is somewhat wild. So the main place is run by, I believe it's the Coin Lords, which are like 4 or 5 pirate captains that run trade. And basically they're the mafia around the city. The downside of the... Yeah, so basically, while the Coin Lords are not the most powerful in the Eberron world, they are kind of the most powerful in Stormreach itself. Though, of course, the other houses, which we talked about a little in the past, House Fjarlin, House Kendrick, House Caneth, I think pretty much just the main patrons. Fjarlin, Kundarak, Jarasco, Deneth, and Caneth? Yeah. All kind of have their specialties, but the Coin Lords are basically the Pirate Kings. Okay, so I appreciate the assistance, and believe me, I'm giving up cards and dice forever. Don't believe me, care to make a wager? If I had time to stay in chat, I'd point out the irony in your statement. Just stay out of trouble. And it's a docent. Oh, that's a cool look. No, it's not a docent. That's an orb. Okay. I remember those being new-ish when I started playing. Basically, they're like... it's the only option, so I'll take it. And of course, I always pick up the quest because I like it. So, orbs are kind of like shields, but for casters. So the basic way that they would do it is that instead of increasing your AC, it would increase your resists? Yes. So this is a +2 orb, so instead of +2 AC on top of whatever the bonus for a shield is, usually, 1 to 2, 1 for a buckler, 2 for a heavy shield, and then 4 for a tower shield. It's been a while. It will give you a bonus to your saves. So if you look, there's a +2 orb bonus while this orb is equipped and you are actively blocking, so you have to actively block to get the bonus, which is I don't even remember how to block. Okay, so I'm not getting that. But it gives you a +2 bonus on all saving throws, and boosts your resistance to acid, cold, electric, fire, sonic. This particular one also gives lightning lore, which is not bad for a freebie, but hey, we're going for acid. I believe we're going for acid. Yeah, we're all about the acid. Bonus to negative energy spell power, which is nice. But the other nice thing is it's a spellcasting implement. So that's something that they kind of brought in, definitely different than 3.5, is that casters didn't have much reason to upgrade their weapons. So they started giving them spellcasting implements. Basically, it was a small bonus to universal spell power, which increases the power of spells, equal to, I think it's 3 times the enhancement bonus. So it's not a huge boost, but it's something. It would help out a bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk to her. Dragon, I've heard much of you from my associates in Korthos. Will you take the time from your day to assist me? This is the private Fellowcrest library. Eldermere Fellowcrest is acquisitive, not to say a wretched thief. It's rumored he acquired a tome that banished from our own stacks. We're sure it's ours, but a request from me would be unwelcome. I would like you to reacquire the tome from Fellowcrest library. You know it from the 12 sigil it bears. So the 12, I believe, is another house? Is the 12 a church? The 12... Oh, there we go. The 12 in Stormreach are a branch of the powerful organization resident in Corvair, which is another continent, I believe. During the last war, the 12 was founded as an independent organization to research the power of magic. The branch in Stormreach is tasked with discovery and research of ancient relics of the giant empire. Okay, so that's like the Mage Tower group. Wouldn't want to piss off the 12, but apparently whoever this is did. Oh, hey, I can even ask, can you tell me more about the 12? The 12 are most interested in the artifacts that are constantly being unearthed across Zendrick. Zendrick being the continent that Stormreach is on. Basically, like I said, it's the wild frontier. Many would prove dangerous in the wrong hands. Not only do we hire warriors to safeguard our own expeditions into the jungle, but we also require help in tracking down independent finds. There are many opportunities for brave adventurers to make their mark with the 12. What sort of work are you offering? Of course, she literally just gave me off. Okay, very well, I'll try the subtle approach. So recovering the lost tome. That one's way over there. If I remember correctly. No! Hey, did they move that? Or maybe I'm misremembering the quest. Oof. No, you used to have to run all the way across the zone. That is a nice change. I wasn't expecting that. Unless, of course, I'm totally misremembering it, which is entirely possible. Okay, so I'm going to talk to him. It should be easy to locate the book you require. Once we find it, I'll leave you to pursue it in privacy. That seems awfully generous. Thanks. Privacy is exactly what I was hoping for. You know what? We're going to detect secret doors, just in case. Danger sense. Hey, that's never a good sign. Okay, so danger sense, of course, means that my spot is high enough that I was able to detect that there might be a trap, but my search isn't high enough to actually detect it. Not that I could disarm it anyway, but hey, it never hurts. There is still the bonus for, is there... No, there's not a bonus for traps detected, just disabled. Interesting. But secret doors still count. Okay, librarians against the shelves. This seems like a trap. Of course, I know it's a trap because I kind of remember it. I think there's undead.
The librarian has left the room. Quick, obtain the book and return to Dulcimer.
Okay. So, of course, when it's lit up like that, that means it's a clickable. Okay, so it looks like sonic traps. So let's cast some sonic resistance. And spikes. Unfortunately, I don't have spike resistance. Okay. Different kinds of undead. This is where I need to worry about DR. Fortunately, as a warlock, I don't really have to worry about DR. So I'm going to go ahead and blast you. Awesome. Those cooldowns are so good. I kind of wish I hadn't taken toughness. Then again, it's the downside of going in blind. If I was smart, I'm sure I'd completely rework the whole build. So let's go this way. Choose the right. A lever. I'm sure those suspicious zombies are entirely... yeah. Okay, another lever. Yep. Oh, I'm sure nothing dangerous will come of this lever either, but it looks like I need to do that to open those. Open that one, and zap some zombies up. Okay, and then, so, here's the collectible system. Now you can see it's a treasure bag. I can click on it, or I can press the E, which is what I usually do to interact with items. So I get a Mark of the Keeper. So Marks of the Keeper, a brooch inlaid with a mother of pearl and bearing the Keeper's mark. Marks of the Keeper desired by Yannick Drumdum in the marketplace. Now collectibles have all sorts of various bonuses, values for turning them in. Sometimes you can turn them in for loot. Sometimes you have to use them for like rituals, which you can use to like harden equipment, because of course, just like official D&D, equipment has durability and hardness, though I don't think I've ever run into a game that actually uses durability, which is, I don't know, I actually kind of like it. There's so much little nitpicking, bookkeeping, yes, both of those, in D&D that has a fun sense of realism, but is just so much of a pain to keep track of. No one ever does it. So it's kind of nice, you know, that this kind of game... so, yeah, adventure packs. This kind of game kind of keeps that stuff. You know, you have to worry about weight. So my weight is determined by my strength score. Every item I pick up has a weight associated. So potions of Cure Light Wounds weigh 0.1 pounds each, 6 of them, 0.6 pounds. Oh, I hadn't even cast Sonic anyway, it was electric. Oof. So yeah, there's all sorts of little bookkeeping. So back to the collectibles. So when you... like I said, enemies don't give you XP directly, but what they can do is they can drop little packs. There's also things like that adventure pack. Sometimes you can get loot out of barrels, as you may remember from when I was in the tutorial area. Nope, looks like electricity is the way to go. Hopefully... yeah, I'm a normal. This shouldn't hurt too much. My intelligence is too low. Sounds about right. Yeah, even... I'm still taking damage. Okay. So the downside is it winds up taking up so much room because there's different collectibles, and you want to kill enemies and turn it in for loot, and all that fun stuff. So they sell collectible bags. Now, of course, collectible bags are mostly in the cash shop. And because the game has a system where you generally, you know, keep re-rolling the same character, I believe I had like the largest collectible and ingredient and all the other gem bags that I could get. But since I'm playing fresh, I don't have those. It seems like a waste to buy them from the cash shop. Maybe when I get more money, I'll buy something. Seems like a good idea. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much of an issue it winds up being. If it starts leading to headaches, I'll probably look into stuff. Then again, I remember selling most of mine on the market because I did have the gargantuan bag. So when something dropped, I didn't have any use for it. So maybe it won't be that difficult to get one. Yep, intelligence still too low. So here's our good old rest shrine. I took 1 point of damage, might as well, right? Yeah, I don't think it affects the bonus XP. Though that does seem like something that could work, Uh, you know, bonus XP for not using any rest shrines. Ah, ow. Oof. Yeah, I'm apparently falling for all the traps. That was rough. So not only did I get hit by those guys, so bookshelf, more collectibles. In this case, it's a page norm from a research notebook. So it tells me who I can turn them into. And I believe you could get like low-level loot from them as well. In this case, I can search the bookshelf. Oh! So the chest was entirely unrelated. I still want it though. Because I can. Boots. Ooh. Oh, nice. Okay, boots of fire guard. Nice. So that gives me a damage shield. When you are hit or missed in combat, item has a chance to deal 1d8. I wish it told me what the chance was. But 5% bonus to movement speed's always nice. Omni Spell Dust. This was a cash shop item and is considered one of the worst cash shop items ever. Just the worst. Because I talked about spell components, like Pinch of Fine Sand is my level 1 spell component. Every time I cast a level 1 spell that has a spell component, it uses up one of those pinches. Omni Spell Dust counts as any level spell component. Oh yeah, I had Expeditious Boots. Whatever. I'm not gonna bother with that. That's fine. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing, but all of the spell components are purchasable for relatively low cost at a vendor, any vendor, stacked to like 1,000. Whereas an Omni Spell Dust are kind of like cash shop only, or they were. Well, they dropped in the chest, but there's always been a chance for cash shop items to drop in chests. So I don't know if I just got lucky, but because I got a cash shop item, or if they did make it regular chest loot. They should have, because, I mean, even at the very best, like the absolute best case scenario, it saved you a couple of inventory slots. Because instead of having 9 inventory slots for levels 1 through 9, you had 1 inventory slot. And that's only if you're 9 level spellcaster and all your spell levels used components. And even then, it only stacked to the same 1,000. So it's a horrible, horrible item. As a cash shop item, it's by far the worst. Even worse than like the +1 to +2 skill tome, because at least that has some like niche value. The only time is when you're like super desperate, you forgot to check, which is why I always leave those there. Run out of components for Firewall, need to finish up a quest, go into the cash shop, buy some cheap. But then, of course, what's the point of carrying them around if you... Because at that point, you're just literally wasting another slot to carry them around. Anyway, I'll have to see if I get more of them. Okay, so yes, this is the book I sought. I apologize that fellow Chris attempted to slay you. It's not surprising from a stranger's request from a newly stolen tome. Would be interpreted as a threat. But I needed to know the extent of this thief's strength. What if that had been intended to lure me into a trap? By such ruses, even the most powerful wizards have been ensnared. It's fair. I mean, kind of a dick move, but that's fair. Do not feel that you have been used by me. I trusted you to deal with unknown dangers, and you have succeeded admirably. Rest assured that you have impressed me, and the 12 will watch your career with interest. I mean, yeah, she used me, but you know what? That's fair. Okay, some actual rewards. Let's look. Longsword's useless. I could do a staff. Staff's not bad. Reconstruction is useless for me because I don't cast repair spells. Crit chance, useless. Spellcasting implement, though, it's a +3 to universal spell power, which is like an extra point something damage. An outfit of healing amplification, that's not bad. 6% more healing, which is nice. But 4 armor bonus. Okay. My battle-worn chain shirt has 4 armor bonus. But limits my... but it has con +1. It's barely better. But you know what? Fine. I'll go with that. Fashion Souls is the true end game. Let me see if I can remember how to turn myself around. I don't remember how to turn the camera without turning me. Oh well. So I can't see what it looks like. Bugger. That's when you don't know the UI, so you just start pressing random buttons. Okay, so let's pick up the quest again because I like to do that. Okay, we could go back in on hard, but let's check out what else there is in Korthos. Dirk the Deranged. I remember farming that quest forever because of raisins. Because there was a... Maybe we'll get it. Man, early DDO. Not even that early. I played like well after the level cap was 20. After they had gone free to play. Before the first expansion, so it wasn't that far in. But it was, you know, fairly far in. Okay, so Dirk the Deranged, I've got a secret. What's your secret? I can't tell you. It wouldn't be a secret then. You don't have a secret. Really? You're sure? That's wonderful now. That's wonderful. Now I know it's really a secret. What if I know your secret and I'm not telling you? Then it's not a secret at all. You know about the den of kobold brothers? 2 kobolds squabbling in the harbor sewers? Someone could kill them and take their loot while they're having their spat. No, of course you don't know that. My secret's safe. It sure is. Bye, Dirk. So Dirk's got a secret is the first... Yeah. So it's the first quest where you start to run into ooze and slime monsters, which do massive durability damage to your weapons and get super obnoxious at, as they get tougher. It's one of the first quests where you deal with kobolds, though of course they're everywhere because kobolds. But the main thing is this was the first quest where you really started to play with rare enemies. So that, there was a few rare bosses in earlier quests on Korthos, but for the most part they just drop regular loot. Where is it? There it is. So the oozes are super hard to see. And am I splitting him? So, they do a ton of damage. They break your weapon super easy. And they're hard to see. And they just kind of drop in on you. Oozes are everyone's favorite. Also one of the first quests where you start to deal with shamans. And where you learn that, hey, casters are far more annoying than melee creatures. Which, of course, anyone that's played much 3.5 can tell you just as soon as possible. So the thing with oozes is not only do they tend to be resistant to a lot of energy types, they break your weapons super easy, and at higher levels, using a slashing weapon or a piercing weapon will cause them to split. Oh, secret door. So this quest,
Must be a higher tension. Well, there's one draw.
so this quest had a named that could spawn, and he could drop an item called Muckbane, I believe it was. Now the thing with Muckbane is it wasn't really a great item. Ooh, a scepter. So spellcasting implement, nullification, don't need, sonic glow I don't need. Still better than my crappy little hammer. Or my mace, I guess. So let's equip that. So the thing about Muckbane, it was like a +1 club of Oozebane, lesser Oozebane, which, I mean, at level 3 or whatever, it's not bad. You know, +1 lesser Oozebane is, I believe, 1d6 damage. Yeah, like 1d6 damage. I think adds another +1, so it becomes a +2 with 1d6 damage. So, for the most part, not huge, but the thing that made it really nice is it was made of glass. Now, the thing that makes glass special when it comes to oozes is it doesn't take extra damage from oozes. So this was the first conditional? Situational? Let's go with situational weapon that I remember when I first started playing. You can tell that I've got some kind of memory from that, just because I remember that there was levers. And I believe... Nope, there is a name. Okay, yeah. Kill the 2 troglodytes. Get loot. Thieves' tools come in a set of 50, of course. And that's because they are consumable in this game. I don't think they were in 3-point. Whatever. And I get a staff. Now, a staff is 2-handed. Combustion, don't care about fire, void lore. That's pretty much exactly the same, except I can't use my orb once I hit the next level. So I'm going to stick with my rod. So the thing with Oozebane is, you know, I would actually even try to get 2 of them. And you can do weapon sets. And so if I wound up coming across any oozes, you switched over to Oozebane. And, you know, it's blunt, so it would keep them from splitting. It was glass, so it wouldn't break. It was better than no damage, so that's something. Concentration and stunning DC. I don't care about that. So, you know, it wasn't amazing by any means, but it was handy. And so, you know, for a level 2 quest, it was useful. So I remember farming this quest over and over again, trying to get that Oozebane to drop. And then when it... Dang it. So I can't get the chest that the name dropped because my strength is too low. My strength is 10, so that's fair. If I remember correctly, it was a relatively high strength check. Like 19 or something. I could be wrong, but I remember not being able to do it with like 18 strength characters. I think I had to do like a Raging Barbarian. So of course, pulling that lever opened this door. So this is where the Mukbane guy would spawn. So he hasn't spawned, which is unfortunate. Because it would be really kind of fun if he actually did spawn and drop the Oozebane. I could show you guys what I was talking about. But I'm sure... Well, I don't know. I believe they actually later on introduced a effect called like Everbright. They would keep weapons from taking extra damage from oozes and rust monsters. But I don't remember if you could craft that with Caneth crafting. So Caneth crafting is the crafting system in the game. Basically, you can level it up. Is it just Caneth? I could have sworn it used to be like 3. That might have been revamped. I had a character that did a bunch of Caneth crafting. I'm pretty... Yeah, of course. Kobolds and traps. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do it, mostly because it's going to slow things down, but on top of that, it was mostly just used to twink characters. There was very little value in, like, at-level crafting. But what you could do is you could make really awesome combinations. For example, invulnerability, if anyone remembers that, was a relatively not popular enchantment in 3.5 where you get DR5 magic. Of course, you know, it's a +1 enchant, and so I don't want to use a shield because then I have to deal with him messing with my blast. Okay, so let's finish out. So it was a relatively uncommon enchantment because, of course, you had to have a +1 first. By the time you had a +2 magic item, you know, +1 for the +1 armor, +1 for the invincibility enchantment, stuff was mostly breaking magic DR. And so why would you waste... Oh, see, now that's good. So the blue means that it's masterful, which basically reduces the minimum level by 2. So haggle means that I can buy stuff for cheaper, still sell stuff for more. Use magic device +1 is always nice. Spellcraft bonus is not bad. Gloves I don't have. Positive spell power, don't need. Can't use. Hey, an orb. Impulse. Force spell power. Ooh. I have an orb that I was going to use next level, but I don't think it helps any. Whereas this one helps my force, which I think helps that portion of Eldritch Blast. So now I've got that. There we go. So shift is blocking, and you can kind of see the little like glowing arm thingy. So yeah, so you could craft level 1 armor that had invincibility, which, you know, in a standard D&D game is nothing. But in this game, you know, you can set it up so that you can craft it at level 1. Level 1 DR5 is going to protect you from most anything. Makes low levels super easy, and because of the Monty Hall nature of the game, crafting a item that's only useful for a couple of levels isn't a bad idea. Whereas yeah. Ooh, 137 plat. Maybe I should sell that. I'm not going to worry about it for the moment. Whereas, yeah, in D&D you would never craft like a +2 situational item that, you know, might someday come in handy at that level. Oh, I didn't even read it. Okay, my pack of tools is still missing. Okay, so we have to go and get his... There we go. Retrieve Garrison Filmer's stolen pack of tools from the scavengers worn in the harbor. Okay. Old habits and all that. Okay, so level 2 quest. It shouldn't be any difficult. Troglodytes. Awesome. But because of the Monty Hall nature of the game, it is interesting for anyone that's played 3.5 or Pathfinder, you know, pretty much any D&D. Situational weapons are uncommon. Generally, what you're going to do is you're going to get a weapon, you're going to give it as much enchantment as possible, you're going to go all in on that weapon. You're going to get, you know, weapon focus. If you're a fighter, you're going to get weapon specialization with it. You're going to get improved critical. That weapon is, for all intents and purposes, everything to you. You know, if you're a melee type or a fighter, or, you know, a bow if you're a caster or a range type. So I missed him with my cooldowns, so he activated the alarm. What that's going to do is it's going to summon a bunch of kobolds. Technically not a summon. It just kind of... so there is a sound system, or a sound mechanic in the game. Basically, different abilities and stuff make sound. So, for example, if you go invisible, you can really see it, because enemies will move towards footsteps and such, but will... if you stop moving, they will kind of look for you and give up. But of course, you know, if you're invisible, things will still kind of follow the sound. Okay. And you could kind of see that Kobold Rogue was invisible-ish, translucent at least. That's kind of the invisibility system. Gosh, dang it. Yeah, so he set off that alarm. And basically the enemies are still there, but instead of me being able to take them down one by one and sneak up on them, they come out and say hi. Speaking of the Monty Hall, so, you know, in 3.5 or in D&D, you know, your sword's everything. In this one, it's because there's so much loot, you don't really have to worry about wealth by level, especially once you start hitting the level cap. Like, for example, I had an artificer, and he would have, I think I was at like 5 different crossbows. Hey, named Spider. I didn't have my good cooldown up. There we go. And, you know, it would, generally I'd have like a general use crossbow, I'd have like an anti-undead crossbow, I'd have an anti-demon crossbow, I'd have an anti-devil crossbow. So, for example, one of the more popular raids, even though it wasn't the... actually, for a while it was the most difficult. TOD, and which stands for Tower of Doom? Tower of Despair? Tower of Death? I don't know. It's a devil tower. Had, like, Pit Fiends as the boss. And for anyone that's familiar with Pit Fiends, they have DR 15? 20? I think in this game it's scaled with difficulty. Like normal, hard, elite. That required good and silver to bypass. So you would need a good silver weapon. And of course, with the existence of things like Greater Banes and Banes, you know, for the Shroud, you would want, say, what was, like the gold standard for melee. And after, you know, running it a few times, what you would generally look for is a +5 holy or holy burst. The holy burst was more difficult. Weapon of greater demon or greater devil bane. And what you would do is you would just keep running missions and opening chests until you got that. And if it was for, say, a weapon type you didn't use, then you would, sell it to try to buy one that you did use. And, if you were a dual wielder, which was for a long time actually, like, considered a better option, because most of the downsides of dual wield are mitigated, if not replaced entirely. In DDO, at least they were at the time. Since then, they've actually introduced like double hand feats, which has kind of balanced out the discrepancy. Yeah, so double hand feats, which was kind of balanced out. But for, the longest time, it was, well, in 3.5, usually dual wield is looked down on, because if you move, you don't get your full attack bonus. Weapons are expensive, so, having two of them was a real difficulty. There was, you had a -2 to your hit, if not more. -4 for most people because, light weapons were a pain. Weren't as much damage as regular weapons, and heavy weapons gave a -4 if you dual wielded them. But of course, all the weapon-specific feats, weapon focus, weapon specialization, improved critical, etc., were for a specific weapon. So if you wanted to do like the iconic rogue with a rapier in the main hand and a short sword in the offhand, then you either had to take weapon focus, improved crit, all that fun stuff with both rapiers and short swords, or you just used a rapier in both hands. Oh, hey, look, that's a lot of undead. Let's try slowing him down some. Or for a rogue, you might do dagger in both hands. So even though a rapier was a preferable option, because it wasn't light, you would use dual daggers or dual short swords. The attack bonus in DDO was easier to get around. The Monty Hall nature of the equipment was less difficult in terms of getting duplicates. And of course, the fact that you could get feats for two-weapon fighting and not for the two-handed fighting tended to mean that two-weapon fighting was the DPS preferable, with the exception of something like... I should actually look at my loot. With the exception of something like a Frenzied Barbarian. Okay, spell resistance, that's not going to help much. An open lock. Meh. Peridot Ring, will saves +2. Now that's not bad. I can use that over Ring of Water Breathing. I'll hold on to that, but... Then I think I got a robe? Let's see. Sonic Absorption, Armor Bonus +3, Repair Amplification. Yeah, useless. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, +1 Keen Kukri. Such a beautiful weapon. And an extra 1d6 fire damage. +1 Fiery Keen Kukri. Oh, that's a +3 at level... Yeah. But yeah, so you would have people getting Khopesh was actually at the time, I think it still might be, the weapon du jour for damage. Which is a funny story in and of itself. So people would specifically, go out and hunt for +5 holy Khopesh of greater Devilbane, and they would get 2 of these just for this one weapon, or for this one raid, for a couple of very specific situations. Same thing with I'm getting all sorts of rares. It's great. Let's do Morning Star, Thunder Boost. Okay. No. Bugger. And they would get 2 of these, and they would have 5, 6 weapon sets. I think when I was running with a Favored Soul using great swords, I was a Warforged Favored Soul, which let you follow Lord of Blades, whose favored weapon was a great sword. It's actually a really fun build. I think the first one that I ever did epics on, which is a whole nother system. Oh, nice, another rare. Fucker. Plate. So I had, I think, like 6 or 7 different weapons. I had one for devils, I had one for undead. I think I had picked up one for... I picked up one for constructs, which was, I think, +5 vicious, adamantine greatsword of... +5 vicious, adamantine greatsword of greater construct bane. I think I might have actually also had a +5 vicious... no, a +5 anarchistic burst greatsword of greater construct bane. And that's because there was one mission that had one fight that, to be fair, was super annoying, where you fought a Marut. I think that's what it was, which is like a lawful, kind of a lawful outsider. But they're not outsiders. They're basically like a construct that chases those that are opposed to natural law. So in the case of that quest, they were hunting down a vampire who had bypassed natural law to expend their life. And so you were trying to defend the vampire, so you fought this Marut, who has DR, I think it was adamantine, and anarchic damage. So, I had a greatsword specifically for that. Just so many. Yeah, I don't care about that. I think. Deflecting, yeah, spell resistance. I keep wanting to think of it as like deflection as in like a ring of protection, because that's a deflection bonus. At least it wasn't Pathfinder. I haven't played 3.5 in a while. Pathfinder kind of... I kind of prefer Pathfinder, but I think part of that might be because most of the people I know are either playing 3.5 or 5th edition. There doesn't seem to be a ton of people that are playing 3.5. A lot of the people that were all about 3.5 have kind of moved on to lose 3 hit points, gain double shot, which I don't use. So let's just grab something to sell. Speaking of which, my inventory slots are filling up. So let's sell some stuff. But yeah, there were a lot of end game quests, or end game was literally just looting, running high level quests in order to get high level chests, in order to hope for a chance of getting high level loot that you would sell in order to buy other high level loot. So I would buy the +5 holy great sword of Greater Devilbane, silvered, of course. That's my shared account. I'm not gonna twink this guy, but I do want to save some bank space. So let's put some stuff in the bank. So I'll hold on to that just in case. I don't need that. I don't need that. Those will hold on to. Okay. But yeah, which made it super nice if there was specific quests that are, specific rare items that would give you something. It was just kind of awesome. So we're gonna do this one. This is one of my favorite quest lines. It was one of the best build tests at low levels, just to see how good your build was. Of course, that was on Elite. Normal's far easier, and I don't know if we're going to want to go through with it all the way to Elite, but we'll see what's going on. So basically, this guy's telling me that there's some kobolds in the sewers, and he wants me to go check out what's going on. Garjung has already gone in, but let's see. I sent Garjung to deal with it, but I think he could use some help. So I go into the waterworks. So this is another exploration. There are a number of named that kind of are around here. And of course, this is your iconic D&D. I think the first iconic D&D dungeon for me. Just you go into the sewers and you fight kobolds. That's level 3. Let's see, hunting kobolds are you? Just remember the guard won't charge down here, even if you get over your head. What is this place? Are you daft? It's a sewer, the aftermath of every party, if you get my drift. And I do mean drift, all sorts of critters. I'll bet it does, thanks for your time. For some reason, every city has like massive sewer systems underneath it. I don't know why. It's just one of those tropes. Good day, citizen. Yeah, good day. So we're gonna go. So those are the two entrances. I believe we pick up the quest right outside of it. But we're gonna try. I don't know what I just cast. Oh, Entangle. So we're gonna try see what we can do in terms of named. I do remember there being a bunch of secret doors. Hey, name. So always good. So same thing as Korthos. There's the rare encounters. So we killed Duloc Troglodyte Adept. So 300 XP for that, and a chest. Caneth Essences are used for crafting. Yeah, I don't remember much about crafting. But yeah, so the nice thing about crafting is that because you wanted such very specific items, you could craft them rather than spending a ton, which was handy, though it did lead to some interesting circumstances. For example, for monks to be able to beat DR Silver at the time, I think it's changed since then, there was a very, very uncommon named item that for some reason could be deconstructed and made into a blank, which was kind of how Kenneth crafting worked, is you would take an item, deconstruct it, and it would give you a blank version of that item. But it would keep whatever metal it was made of. So if you deconstructed, say, mithril plate, it would remain mithril plate. And then you could add whatever enchantments you wanted to it. So, you know, making, say, mithril breastplate, give it invulnerability, great level 1 item. Just as, you know, that would be for any D&D game. But so this very rare and, if I remember correctly, super painful quest, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it took forever to run, and it involved a maze, and no one ever wanted to run it, and you could only run it like 7 times because of how, or 7 times a week because of how the loot system in this game works. But if you got this rare wrist wrap, you could deconstruct it to make silver hand wraps, and then you could put holy greater undead bane or greater devil bane on them, and then that was one of the few ways that monks could actually break the DR. Now, of course, since then, I believe metal hand wraps have become more common, and I believe some of the monk in archetypes, put me to sleep, I'll kill you. Some of the monk archetypes actually give you just like DR bypass, but it's been a long time since I played monk, so I couldn't tell you anymore. But yeah, that would go for, so much. Oh, I was going to tell you guys about Kopesh's. So Kopesh is an interesting story behind it. So for anyone that remembers 3.5, you'll probably think to yourself, I don't remember the Kopesh at all, let alone that being like a popular weapon. And that's because it wasn't. The Kopesh was super duper unpopular. It was a exotic weapon with the same stats as a longsword, like a lot of exotic weapons, and give you +4 to tripping. And it was designed around like an Eastern style curved blade. And yeah, it was like +4 to all tripping attempts. Now, of course, in 3.5, you have to burn a feat. I don't think anyone is it's resistant to acid. You would have to burn a feat. No one was inherently resistant or proficient with it. And so you would only do that if you were doing a tripping build. Well, if you were doing a tripping build, why would you use a Kopesh when you could use I think the gold standard was a spiked chain, which was like the most overpowered weapon in 3.5 for gimmicks. Because that was not only a tripping weapon, but it also had reach, and I think that one had like something else about it that made it great. But I believe there was also like tripping polearms, which also had reach. So why would anyone use the Kopesh? And the answer was, they didn't. It was a gimmick weapon that was super unpopular. So of course, then you ask, well, why is it popular in DDO? Well, ironically, it became popular because of a nerf. Specifically, when the game first came out, the level cap wasn't 20. It was like 8? Like I said, when I came in it was 20. And I think it's like 30 now. Maybe 28. Ooh, I'm taking a lot of damage. It's not good gameplay. Let's drink some potions. There's one more. There we go. But at the time, you know, they started with like level 6, 8, and then I want to say 8 to 12 to 16 to 20. That sounds right. Which was funny because then when they released the going free to play, because the game was originally a subscription game and did horribly, just the worst. So what they wound up doing is they made it free to play and put in a market, which is the current cash shop. But they had a bunch of stuff in the cash shop that everyone just absolutely despised. And the last time I played, there were still items in the cash shop that people despised, which is, I think, always going to be true. Okay, that's locked. So let's explore there. Which I realize you guys can't see my map. So, awesome. Downside of this style of, well, UI. There really isn't any great places to put the map, or to, you know, put the screen. But that's how these things go. Actually. Huh. Is that... Now that I look at it, there's a bunch of stuff that seems like it might be cut off. Oh, I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. Okay, well, at the moment, it's not particularly relevant. The main stuff is, you know, what's going on in the main screen. I'll figure out why that's being odd. Maybe after this quest. This room used to be a complete death trap because you had casters up there. Now it's not too bad. Of course, I'm running on normal. Like I said, this is one of my favorite quest lines for testing to see how viable a build is. But that's mostly on higher difficulties. So if you have a decent jump score, which I don't, you can jump on top of that. Jump spell is super useful for that. Bugger. But I don't have the jump spell. So I have to take the ladder that's on the back, and I believe there's a trap. I'm not seeing it, but yeah, there we go. Bugger. So yeah, one of the cash shop items was basically, once you hit level 4, you couldn't level up again. Which is awesome, unless you bought a cash shop item. And it wasn't a permanent unlock. Oh, that's very specific. Nullbane. Of course, it's an extra 1d6, so that's not bad. Though I don't remember running into any gnolls until like level 10. So you had to buy that specifically per character. And there wasn't any reincarnation system, so each character you had to buy that. And then you had to buy another one at level 8, and another one at level... You know what? We're going to use a Just rest shrine. You had to buy another one at level 8, you had to buy another one at level 12, and another one at level 16. Just in order to keep playing. Which was super obnoxious, I thought. And fortunately they got away from that. And since then, their cash shop has been honestly one of my favorite, and one of, I think, the best examples of how cash shops can be done. Just because, you know, between being able to get currency while you play the game, being able to, you know, get currency while you play the game by completing the quests, encouraging running different quests in order to get the faction. The items that are in the cash shop are, for the most part, reasonable. There are a few newbie traps, or they were. I don't know if they still are. Let me see. TDO store. If I remember correctly, it was character, gear. So augments, no, crafting, weapons. Here we go. This was the newbie trap. So +2 quarterstaff. You guys have seen the loot that you get. Crap's insane. This might be not a bad one. Just because it's silver and metallic quarterstaffs can be a pain. But, I mean, yeah, +2 weapons. You've seen the kind of weapons that are dropping. That's just a horrible, horrible return. And so, you know, anyone who has been playing the game for a while will know better than to buy it. But I have seen people that buy those items, and it's regrettable. I believe there were a few kind of exceptions. I want to say there's a key here, but no, the key's either here or in the other room. So let's go to the other room. Of course I do. Of course, you know, they wake up. If I was being stealthier, say a rogue or whatever, I could use move silently, move in, kill them all without any difficulty. Wow, there's a lot of them. Well, that's fine. Okay. So the tech secret door wore off. Let's recast that. So now, of course, this is one of the exceptions where, like, I remember where stuff is. So let's cast Featherfall because it makes these jumps a little easier, mostly because it slows your landing. So you fall slower. Yeah, Nash to his guard room key. So now I have to go kill the guard, acquire Chief Etchik's key. So I need to go kill him, take his key, then that'll let me get into the one room. As you can tell, the quests as you get higher and higher do get more complicated. Which actually I really appreciate. You know, they can't exactly do stuff at the same level as an actual, like, DM running stuff and controlling these things. It's just not viable. But they do a really good job of they do a really good job of keeping the quests interesting, and let's see. Of keeping the quests interesting and unique, And one of the things I really like, I don't remember the first time you run into it. I want to say like 4? Level 4, Necro 1. I need to double check, because I could probably run Necro 1. They actually get some guest GMs that do not only the voiceover, I believe they actually designed the quests. But I would have to double check on that. But I do know that they, at least at one quest line, has Gary Gygax doing the voices and doing the voiceovers. I know they have a bunch of other like famous GMs that'll run stuff. I know Will Wheaton is in one that they came out with, but I haven't played that one, so that'll be interesting. I think that came out like right as I was kind of leaving the game. I don't remember why I didn't run it. Anyway, actually, you may have had to buy it, and I decided it wasn't worth it because I was getting disenfranchised. Let's see. Wait. You not heard, Big Chief? Etik not want to fight no more. Tell me where Arlos and Ven are, and I'll spare you. Who that? Etik not know what you were talking about. I'm a charisma class. Let's try intimidate. Okay. All right. Etik get picture. The Kobold Chief cringes. Etik want to keep tail. We have one called Arlos, but never heard of other. Whereas Arlos in prison, you go in, get him out. Guards try to stop you, maybe. Etchik can't help with that. They not listen to Etchik much. Bloodletter's in charge down there. He shrugs gloomily. As for other one, maybe Arlos know. Etchik don't. Okay, and if I remember correctly, this is the loot room. Because there's a chest you can kind of see right there. But it's trapped. Because kobolds. Let's try fire. Okay, I was correct. Detect secret doors. I don't think there's any, but it's a good idea to keep it up. Loot, +1, leather armor, bonus to repair, and +3 fire resistance. Meh. Really? 13 is a save failure. I guess that makes sense. 13 is actually not that high. Okay. So now I need to find the entrance to the prison. Okay, so I got bonus for killing the number of gnolls, and for some reason my UI's messed up, so you guys can't see it, but in this corner here, there's bonus. There was a bonus objective of kill 40 kobolds. Okay. Exterminate the nest of spiders. Should be no problem. If I remember correctly, there's some rares down here as well. So free loot's always nice. Okay. Oh, yeah. I should go back. Oh, man. I should try to keep track of how many stories I'm, like, skipping out on. So, the Kobash. So, at the time, there was... It's actually still a fairly difficult quest. And it's like level 12, so the level cap must have been like 10 at the time. Or 12 at the time. But that's what people were running to get loot. So in the quest you fight a bunch of stuff. Stupid spider webs. Yeah, Black Widows will cast web, whereas the brown recluses will just jump around. No named, unfortunately. Yeah, look at that. +1 holy longsword of assassinate, +1. Man, +1 holy longsword. At, oof. Let's see, so, loot, amber vial, great. So, during this quest, one of the main things you would fight would be Duergar. I believe that's how you pronounce it. The Underdark Dwarves. And so while you were fighting them, they would cast Avatar. They had super high saves. They did a lot of damage. They were tough as nails. And that was like the high level quest. Well, what do you do with enemies that are just super tough? You crowd control them, of course. But they had a super high strength, so web didn't help much. So what did you do? You tripped them. And what they found is that a dedicated trip build using Kopesh, which had a +4 to trip DC, was enough that you could keep the Duergar on the ground just permanently. Just, you know, they had to roll to get up, I believe. I don't remember the tripping rolls for 3.5. Do you have to roll to get up? Anyway, they couldn't. You either like chain tripped them until the end of time, or they had to roll to get up or something. But it was enough that they would be permanently crowd controlled, and then of course everyone just beat them down. And they have several times decided that they don't like the whole permanent crowd control while everyone beats things up. Which led to a super fun mechanic and the changing of the game. Again, when epic levels came along. Which then nerfed kind of sideways picks. I mean, picks have never been great, but it took them from niche and everyone wanted them in epics to no one wanted them ever except for one very, very good pick. Hey, look, traps. That is awesome, but was a pain to get. It was a tapestry quest, which involved killing rares in an exploration zone, and you had to kill so many rares. Was it a tapestry? No, the tapestry was for the shields, which there was some really great shields. Minotaur Helm was great. And then there was Sigil for loot, which came from the quests themselves. I don't remember what it was to get that pick. Anyway, I'll go into that. God damn it. So I was still targeted on the door. So instead of opening the chest, I just closed the secret door. Tower shield is useless. Let's pull the lever. Something opened. Or something closed. It's hard to tell. Okay. So, oh, God, bugger, stupid. So apparently I hate you. This is so dumb. So, what they found is that people would just run through quests without killing stuff. And, you know, as long as the enemy can't catch up to you, you just run from objective to objective. So in order to fix that, what they wound up doing is introducing this warning system. And basically, it was a way to keep people from just rushing to the boss and killing him. But what usually wound up happening is you call this rescue. Been here almost 2 weeks. Yeah. So there's Arlos. Once I talk to him, it becomes an escort quest. I don't know if I want to escort him yet. Curse Spew and Dwarven Axe of Shatter. On a Vorpal, it curses. That's nice. If I used axes, that would be extra nice. So what they would do is, if you aggroed a bunch of creatures, you would get a warning. When it hit green, the enemy AC and saves would go up, making them more difficult to deal with, especially bosses. When it hit yellow, I think green actually only increased the boss saves and AC. Yellow, I believe, would increase everything saves and AC. And then red would increase their saves and AC by a lot. And enemies would proc a snare. I believe it's called being harried. So, sounds reasonable, right? Just kill enemies as you go along. Well, the problem is then they set up quests and dungeons where just playing through it normally would give you alerts. So, for example, I went into that dungeon. I treated it how you should. You know, I didn't run in and run past anything. I literally just opened the gate. And just by opening the gate, I got up to yellow alert. Well, great. They just boosted all the enemies. No. They just boosted all these enemies' stats for no reason. You know, because I was following the quest how it was designed to be run. Especially with, you know, kobolds. There's, of course, going to be lots of enemies. And there's been situations where it's like, look, there's a scripted event. You're now surrounded by bats. And then as soon as the bats spawn in, you're immediately on red alert. And you're just like, okay, well, that's terrible. Why am I on red alert? And I don't know, just you are now. Great. So I kind of hoped they'd fix that. I know that they were talking about fixing it in like a case by case. So it's possible, you know, because not some quests have more enemies than others, so I believe it was based on the number of enemies in the zone, was how many enemies you had to aggro in order to get the warnings. So it's possible this just happens to be one that they hadn't looked over. Wouldn't be surprising, this is a fairly old quest. Who are you? I'm a friend, your cousin Timber sent me. Good old Timber, always getting Ven and me out of trouble. Arlos grins, but then a smile falters. Ven, you've got to help him. Take it easy, Arlos. I don't know where your brother is. Can you tell me? I think I do, yeah. He got caught before me by the worms. I was on my way back to the surface to get help when the Gnash Teeth Cobblers got me. Who are the worms? Clan Tunnel Worm, another game of cobblers. Downstream from here, you gotta get him out. Alright, I will, but first let's get you out of here. Thanks. I won't come down here no more, not after this, and be sure to put the sword through the kobold bloodletter. If you get the chance. He's down here somewhere, wanting to kill the lot of us. Follow me, I've cleared a path for you. Yeah, so now I have to escort him, which is honestly just going to be a pain. Because escort quests, that's not entirely true. This game actually has a couple of the best escort quests that I've ever seen. I'm a huge fan of the way they did it. Unfortunately, they didn't fix it at all levels. So you still have stuff like this. Fortunately, it's on normal. If it's on elite, it becomes a serious pain in the butt. But on normal, it shouldn't be too bad as long as I keep them aggroed on me. There is a side area, but I don't want to explore that with Arlos following me. Okay, so let's go through here. Right, so Kopesh. So, what they did is, because it was so easy to get a trip so high, and because it trivialized what was at the time the most difficult dungeon, they changed the Kopesh to... Let's see, Arliss came out just a moment ago. That boy's always getting in over his head, but you saved him this time. You'll have to find the clan tunnel worm lair. It's here in the eastern part. Okay. So... At this point, it's actually easier for me to just leave because it diverges at the very entrance, and this area is respawned, which is good. It'll give me a minute to try to fix the UI. Okay. So let me try exiting out of the game, and see if relaunching it helps any. Right, so the Kopesh... they got rid of the +4 trip bonus. I think there might have also been another weapon with like a disarm bonus. But they got rid of all static skill bonuses because they decided reasonably that they wanted to keep those very controlled. But of course, you know, there was a bunch of people that spent a bunch of money. Not a bunch of money. Well, a bunch of money too. On Kopeshes, had used up feats in order to get exotic weapon proficiency. So they're like, well, we can't just leave the Kopesh doing nothing. You know, it can't just be a longsword. That's a waste. Even though there's a bunch of weapons that are a waste. So what they did is they improved its crit profile. Instead of being... See, that seems to have fixed it. Instead of being 19 to 20 x2, it became 19 to 20 x3. Now, at the time, with the power level at level 12... It was nice. It was, you know, slightly more damage. But it wasn't so much more damage than everything else that it was a requisite. It was, I think, like, on average, like, 4 more damage per hit. Which was the same as weapon specialization. And, you know, not as consistent because it had to be a crit. But what happened is, of course, then that scales with... stats, that scales with bonuses on weapons, that scales with everything. And so you got like Kopesh as being just so much better. If anyone's familiar with... I'm not familiar with all the weapons of 3.5, but Pathfinder had a weapon called Falcadas, which I believe is also a 19 to 20 x3. And just that is like the go-to weapon. And the more static boosts you have to your weapon, the more amazing it becomes. And of course, in a game like this, where there is all sorts of static boosts to weapons, because, well, it's Monty Hall, it very quickly became just so much better. And to their credit, they, as far as I know, they haven't nerfed a weapon since then. They haven't gone back on the Kopesh. So it's just kind of funny that, you know, what originally started as a nerf, because they removed the tripping bonus, had become so much better. Had made it the go-to weapon for every character that wanted to do damage. Unless you had a very specific reason to not use Kopeshes, you used a Kopesh. I mean, you know, if you were an archer, you'd use a bow. If you were like a favored soul or a cleric that was using a favored weapon, then yeah, you might use those. But for the most part, if you were two-weapon, you know, if you're a barbarian, you'd want to use a great axe. But if you were most characters and you wanted to do damage, you were about the Kopesh. I don't know if that's still the case. So another one that was interesting was the pick. So when epics first came out, they did a bunch of things. They gave the enemies a bunch of blanket resistance, tons of stats, a bucket full of hit points, did a ton of damage on hit. Like they were doing like 50 damage on hit. And of course, it became everyone had to be min-maxed. It was super end game. And of course, they've kind of changed things since then. Now Epic is just level 20 plus, and there's an actual game that's 20 plus. There's feats and epic equipment and all that. But at the time, it was literally just you had to be level 20 to get into it, and there was just everything was super difficult. There wasn't different difficulties at the time. There was just epic. There was no epic normal, though that did come later once they let your level get over 20. You couldn't do easy mode. It was super difficult. So what people wound up doing, as you do, is they found that if you just paralyzed an enemy, you auto crit. Is how they did it. Once again, I don't know how it works in 3.5 exactly, but in Pathfinder, just because I've played Pathfinder more recently, you had a coup de grace, which was a full attack action. Actually, you know what? I think it is an automatic crit in 3.5 if they're paralyzed or helpless, and you hit them with a melee attack. With an attack, it's an auto crit. So what you would have was casters would do absolutely everything in their power to maximize their spell DCs. And people were going to like crazy lengths to get that extra 1 or 2 points. Yeah, lots of stuff. A lot of those bonus areas are designed for like whole groups, and so you need a high strength, a high dexterity, a high wisdom, etc., etc. Which is kind of true for most of the dungeons, although you can usually solo them, especially at lower difficulties. They are designed around a party. Stab. So what you would do was you would have the wizard with his super high spell DCs cast Mass Hold Person. And then everyone would pull out their heavy picks, because there is no scythe in this game. Otherwise, that would be the weapon of choice, just like it was in Neverwinter Nights 2. And while all the enemies are paralyzed, everyone beats away with their heavy picks and causes the enemies to explode as they start taking crazy, crazy high damage. So, what wound up happening was they kind of nerfed helpless. Rather than auto crits, what it was you did an extra 50% damage, which is still nice. And in some cases, it actually did more damage than auto crits. Specifically, like Fireball, any kind of direct damage spell would benefit from the bonus damage. And it let people, use the weapons they were designed for, or designed around, usually Khopesh, because Khopesh. I should have spent my enhancement points. Oh well, I'll do that when I finish. But by changing it that way, it did nerf the picks, and so the picks went from niche but super useful in epics to why would you ever use a pick? There have been a few, and of course, now that I say that, I wouldn't be surprised if pick's the new meta. It's like, oh, if you take this epic destiny and this class and this feat line, then you do crazy damage with heavy picks because it causes you to auto crit on a miss, and stuff gets weird. But Shoot, shoot. I should put up acid resistance. Which is weird, because I have innate acid resistance being... it's only 3 points. So yeah, resist energy acid, knocks that up to 13. So you can imagine, I remember the first time I was running this one, I think I broke my weapon just on this first hallway, because I kept attacking the Uzis. And then I learned my lesson, and I pulled out a bow, and I spent like 10 minutes just kiting them with a bow. Because they're a lot tougher on non-normal. Though this is one of my favorite designed quests. There's a lot of kobolds, there's a lot of really interesting trap designs. Of course, I can ignore a lot of it because I'm on normal. If I were running on elite, this probably would be a bad idea because the kobolds would still hit pretty hard. But on normal, I can just kind of screw around. I still kind of want to give myself fire resistance because that makes the throwers way weaker. Because throwers will kill you if you're not paying attention. But if you can get some fire resistance, then their slight damage with extra fire damage becomes nothing. Okay, let me drink a potion. I'm running on potions. I should probably do something about that. Actually, I think I've been getting Cure Light Wounds. Yeah, I've got another 6. Okay. And of course, awesome ambush design. You know, the throwers are on top of pillars. Shaman that's on top of pillars can't reach them with melee weapons. They're casting spells. The kobolds attack from the front. Just great design. Man, I wish I had a heal spell. So, I don't know if he's still here or if he's named. But I remember running through this, I had at one point convinced my family to run with basically use this. There he is. Oh, nice. Named Ogre. So I killed him super easy. Once you run into him, though, he has this triple attack that will just kill you if you're not prepared, especially on higher difficulties. So that's a +2 club with Sonic Lore. Same Sonic Lore. Don't need combustion. But it gives me slightly better spellcasting implement. But yeah, so I had talked my family into playing like a static D&D group. Basically, we treated it like a D&D campaign, except that, you know, the computer was the GM. We would run missions. We tried. There goes all my starter potions. And I need to look into where to get more potions. I remember them being crazy expensive, but that's neither here nor there at this point. Yeah, I'm gonna want. Oof. Let's do fire, acid. Oh, and of course I get next cold ray. So you have to fight your way around this. But we'd run this quest line on normal, because at this point there wasn't a way to avoid it. And we went up against that ogre, and oh man, I think he one-shotted our tank. It was rough. And then, of course, no one had a res spell, so we had to kind of carry the soul stone. I think he might have killed... I think the ambush killed one as well. Now, of course, you know, characters were a little weaker back then. Mostly because the enhancements are really good. They've gone through several upgrades. But, and of course, you know, more people means it scales higher. But of course, even with that, as you can tell, it's not hard to take damage. Especially when you're acting stupid like I am. Oof. No! Dang it. It was just a collectible, but still. My Mario Kart skills, or Mario Kart, my Mario skills failed me. So we need to go this way. I remember there being a boss down here. Yes. Yeah, see, look. Yellow, right? Turning the corner. How is that? That's stupid. I guess it wasn't yellow, green. Okay, this is going horribly. Because I'm letting the caster get off without killing him. Well, I mean, you can tell that this isn't the tutorial. It's still, you know, the newbie area. But things have ranked up since then. Oh, there's going to be a trap here. No! An unholy dagger. Evil damage. It's beautiful. Potion of Cure Light Wounds is nice. Except I think I just wasted like 4 getting here. Oh, there's a door? Secret door? No. Ah! Shikes. Uh-oh. Oh, it's venom. Great. Taking 2 poisons. And a shrine. Oh, this is going horribly. Well, let's rest. I think resting heals some... Yeah, so it healed my strength damage. But I don't... Nope, I can't walk over top of those. Let's just hope for the best. Oh, still poisoned. I didn't take any more bugger. Secret doors. Oof. Drink some potions. Which have a cooldown. I almost never use... You guys respawned? That's not good. Okay, I might have to start breaking some barrels to hope for potions. That is a potion, not the one I wanted. Yeah, I'm hoping, because there's 4 quests in this chain. And this is the 3rd. I'm hoping... I don't remember how tough the 4th one is. Shoot. I'm hoping that I don't have to go back to town to restock between the 3rd and the 4th. Because I think it's similar to the 1st and the 2nd, where you just go in and... Grey Ooze. Once again, I remember them breaking everything on me. Now there is a smart way about it if you go through the water. Unfortunately, you have 2 people to do that. So The smart way is to have the rogue go through, and then turn off all of the acid traps. Or, you know, someone with evasion, high reflex save. Fortunately, I saved a bunch. Yeah, that's what the water thing did. It led to there, which is a named and a chest. Fortunately, you need 2 people to do so, which is annoying. So once you have 1 person go through, you can turn off the levers. Which, of course, I don't know why you have to turn off the levers. I want to say there was a boss, or there could be a boss, so forgetting the chest. But I don't think that's true. Oh, down to 3 potions. This is not great. So Featherfall, I have 30 seconds. No. Throwers. Resist energy fire will make this a lot more survivable. And specifically killing those shamans. The warrior. Okay, so you can see my robe became worn. So that's most likely... Oh, jeez, look how much damage I've taken. So that's most likely because of all the oozes that have been attacking me. Though, I'm sure that spells from the shamans aren't helping. Yeah, 14 hit points. Awesome. Awesome. I'm doing so badly. This is embarrassing. I figured I'd probably, you know, get to like Giant Hold before, which is like level 14 and one of the big difficulty jumps before I started having problems. But apparently, I am way more rusty than I remember. Because I am not good at this, apparently. Okay. Spiders. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to normal for a while. Because if I'm having this much trouble on normal, I don't even want to try hard or elite. So this is a bonus thing to kill the Hobgoblin Emissary, who's a semi-named. He's a little tougher than a regular Hobgoblin, but he's not a full named in that... No? He didn't have a blue name, which was like a mini-boss, or a red name, which was a full boss. There we go. Corrosive power. That's what I want. Let's look. I can't use that one yet anyway. Okay. Balance, I don't really care about. Corrosion, plus 39. That's where it's at. So we'll replace our plus 10 spell point, because we're not really running out of spell points as it is. Will I want it? Force, not a bad. Good against undead. I mean 7 armor bonus, that might not be a bad idea. Oh shoot, I am out of healing potions. Yeah, so whatever I've got, that's what I've got. Oof. You know what? We're going to try to push through on the 4th mission. It's probably going to be a horrible, horrible idea. But we're going to try. Maybe I'll learn how to use tactics. Let's not bet on it, but Maybe. Okay, so fire, acid. Seen a lot of cold. Not seen much sonic or electric, so we'll go with those three. Lure them out. Apparently I didn't cast Entangle, which I thought I did. There's a warrior, there's a shaman. Let's cast Entangle. Oh, there's the boss. So let's attack. Boss, usually bosses are immune to Entangle or any kind of crowd control. Which I realize kind of goes away from the spirit of D&D. Ha! Nice cold ray. I have cold resistance. Okay. Password. I believe lets me get in the next area. Loot. A Vorpal Warhammer, of course. Open that. And I should complete it here. Awesome. Yeah! Whew. This is gonna be rough. Let's see what we can do. So if I remember correctly, we need to find Ven Arkaran. And he's in like one of these little things. And every door has like a boss fight behind it. Which normally I like to do to get as many, you know, as much as you can. But being out of potions, I think I'm going to try to avoid it as much as I can. Because we are now on survival mode. So let's see if we can manage to not die. I know that's a big boss fight. I think... well, that door's not openable. So let's see. There's just a regular prisoner. Might as well let him free. It's a bonus objective. Can you help me? I'm looking for Ven Arkaran. Arkaran, yeah, I know of him. Treasure Seeker came down here sniffing for gold, I reckon. Kobolds knew what he was about. They hurt him for it, too. Hurt him? Hurt him bad. I could hear him screaming somewhere off in the tunnels. Then a few days ago he stopped. I think you may not find him alive now. Well, it doesn't really help me find him, but that's good to know. Yeah, I think it is like a corpse that you find. Oh. This is... Yep, that was a bad idea. Man, at least I'm glad I did like a ranged build. Instead of something that requires like getting up in people's faces. Oh, apparently I had to kill him anyway. Avenge Ven by killing the tunnel worm interrogator. Great. And I didn't even take any damage. Mission super completed. And I got 400 XP for killing kobolds. Awesome. So far so good. Just don't mess up. Let's try for some potions. Normally breaking stuff's such a waste, especially with so many breakables like this place has. But if I'm lucky, I might be able to find a potion. Okay. I was not lucky. Couple more of those guys. Okay. Yeah, I remember one of the first few times I ran through this place. I spent forever. We killed everything. And just looking in every cage for fair, which may still wind up happening. I hope not. There we go. That's a regular prisoner. So let's free him. Mushroom. Them bones. I don't think them bones. I think it's an actual corpse. Oh, let's see if this works. Nope. This might have been a bad idea. Fire and acid. Tangle. Let's hope for the best. That was a cold ray. There's a shaman shooting at me. There's another shaman shooting at me. Great. So I killed a shaman. Loot. Come on, potions. No potion. One that gives resonance. Sonic boost. Don't need that. Okay. Man, I missed the Carefree Days of Korthos. When it seemed that potions were just falling from the sky. Okay, a rest shrine. I'm still good on mana and hit points, but that's going to be important to remember. I thought I'd already cleared that area. Okay, nothing there. Nope, bugger. No, stop. I can't move. Okay, fortunately I didn't take a lot of damage. That was another prisoner. And another prisoner. Apparently I'm gonna find up just freeing all the prisoners before I actually find Van. I don't think I want to go in there. I may not have many options. Well, let's try it. Zombie skeleton. Okay, no skeleton are mage, so that's good. Great. Resist energies are down. Oh, that looked like a body. Okay. Ah, yes! Let's see. This must be Ven Arkaran. He's been dead for several days. Looking closer, you notice a strange set of regular reddish-brown marks beneath his corpse. Move Ven's body and investigate the marks more closely. Ven's corpse shifts, revealing a wormy stab wound in his gut. As he died, he tried to smear out a last message of his own blood. The only words you can make out are Seal of Shantokor. Yes. And I am not going to try to keep clearing. There is more bosses and more loot. But you know what? I am happy with what I got. I managed to defeat it without getting completely blown out. Ah, of course, the quest giver's on the other side. Well, fortunately, the exploration shouldn't be as tough. Shouldn't. So I can just kind of check a few named, get some loot. It'd be nice if I could level up, because I'm pretty close. I'm only about 3,000 off. Let's see, I got 345 for killing 50. How much do I get for a rare? Let's do that. Rare encounters are 300 each. Yeah, I'd need a lot of rare encounters. Hey! A spoder. There we go. That was a nice crit. So 300 for the first killing of him. Death block belt of natural armor bonus +2. The wearer of this item is immune to all death spells and magical death effects. I will take that. And I am out of inventory. That's not great. Oh, I can get rid of the rugged belt. I don't need that. Man, my inventory slots are bad. Should I get rid of gems? Gems seems like a horrible thing to waste. They're worth less. You know what? I should get rid of bolts and arrows. Because I'm pretty sure I don't need random spell components for priests and 700 bolts that are non-magical. Okay, Cobalt attack. Okay, maybe I will die. Okay, probably not. Intelligence is too low. Though I'm pretty sure some of the rares are locked behind those unopenable doors. So I'm pretty sure... Hey, what's that? Death block. Yeah, like I think there's like a rust monster that spawns here. No, there was a rust monster behind the wisdom one. I remember that because that was when I first learned that rust monsters destroy Warforged. They will like auto aggro them. They'll focus on them above all else. They proc a stun, which was kind of something that they did to balance out the Warforged. Warforged are still super powerful. Really, the main balancing factor was the fact that Warforged receive lesser healing, which was already kind of a buff compared to Pen and Paper. If I remember correctly, in Pen and Paper, Warforged got no healing. They had to get Reconstruct spells, which was like Artificer and Sorcerer. Which, you know, makes a Warforged wizard amazing. But when you're in a raid, and you're focusing on the cleric that's dropping mass cure wounds, or not mass cure wounds, that'd be horrible, mass heal, then being immune to healing would be bad. So what they did instead is they made it so they received half regular healing, which is still pretty bad. But the change to healing amplification was a nice side buff for them. So the way that healing amplification used to work was it was relatively rare. There was very, very few items that had it. Most of the ones were, you know, specific named, difficult to get from raids, and were small enough that people didn't want it otherwise. And it would give you a multiplier. So it'd be like 10%, 20%, 30%. Were like the Dragon Touch. So if you were to wear Dragon Touched armor, which was a pain, super pain to farm out, and you went for those particular runes, you could get a nice boost. Think if all through wound up being an 80% boost, because it was 100 times 30 was 130 times 20 was 156 times 10 was 171. Yeah, so 70% for a 10, 20, and 30. Unless you were Warforged, because they had half, instead of having 170, you had 76. Because, or 86, because it was halved. Nope, still no name here. And of course the side effect of that was if you went nuts, which my Solar Phoenix, who I loved, probably my favorite character ever, had 400% healing amp. So for every 1 hit point, he would get healed for 4. And he had 18 levels of Paladin, and every 6 levels they got 10% heal amp. He had 25% heal amp from a specific item while in a monk stance. He had something else that gave him 20%. I don't remember everything. But they kept multiplying, which wound up having him 400%. So, a 30 hit point cure serious wounds wound up healing him for, 120. So he was pretty much self-sufficient healing, because even just his low healing. But of course, while that was amazing for him, everyone else, wasn't willing to invest that much, because it is pretty niche and you have to kind of go all in. So instead what they did was they changed healing so that it was additive instead of multiplicative. So you couldn't get easily that crazy 400% healing. But they also made it so that all the healing values doubled. So what used to be a 10% boost was now a plus 20%. So the Dragon Touched armor that was a 10, 20, 30, that would all combine to be, a 71%. Instead was a 20, 40, 60, which would combine to be a 220%. So that alone, you more than doubled your healing, which meant it was actually worth it for the average player. And as a bonus, managed to get around shenanigans, which is nice. So this is one of the first chain rewards. So chain rewards generally will have, or quest chains will have a reward that's much better than a usual quest item, though of course this being one of the earlier quests, they're not the most amazing compared to what you could get. But one of the nice things as well is they're bound to account. So the item that you get, you can pass on to lower level characters. You can rerun the chain, get the chain reward again. All sorts of fun options. Okay, so Ven is dead. I don't believe it. He was always tempting fate, heading into the sewers after rumors and baubles, but no, it's too much to ask. Too much to take. I'll remain here and grieve for a while. Please, return to Harbor Master Zim out on the harbor and let him know what happened. So, there's a bunch of named items, including Flame Warden, which was, I think, one of the first named, artificer things. Also, one of the nice things is with Caneth crafting, all of these items are bound to account, which means you can't sell them. But if you craft something that's bound to account, so if I were to take these goggles, break them down with Caneth crafting, put, say, spot on them, so that, as a rogue I could spot traps more easily, I could then pass those over through the account, whereas normally crafted stuff, once it's equipped, it's bound to you forever. So Acrobat's Ring is, I believe, what I usually take. Oh, that is good. That's way better than I even remember. Scales of the Ancestor. They started adding augment slots, which used to be an epic only thing. Augment slot. Tunnel and Champion's Belt. Moss Weave Cloak. +3 Fortitude save. Meltwood Staff. Yeah. +1 Vorpal Adamantine Heavy Mace. Jeez. Yeah, that's pretty good. But I think what I'm going to go with is Acrobat's Ring. So 10% run speed, just always nice. Also, I keep forgetting to use my Expeditious Retreat, so it's useful in that case. Plus 7 jump is actually noticeable amount. Plus 7 tumble helps my falling damage, which isn't amazing, but handy. Let's repeat that. Not really needed because he's right next to where the quest starts anyway. We'll equip that over the will save. So we'll go ahead and recall out. We haven't quite leveled up. We're pretty close, about 3,000. Couple more missions. But we do have 4 action points. So we'll go ahead and spend those action points. And then, I don't know why it keeps tilting. That totally throws me off. Okay, and then of course this quest, which you don't really realize you picked up, and you can only do it once, but it's kind of a bonus reward for running through it. Okay. Yeah, see, it even tells you. So I can only reward you this one time. If you go into the waterworks again, I cannot afford to give you anything else. Whereas the other guy, if you do it multiple times, you can get another one each time. So Alkaline Ring absorbs acid. Magnetism. Charisma's nice, because... but I'd lose my corrosive. Acrobats is tumble. That's literally what I'm wearing. Except... What? That one says Masterful, which should lower the enhancement by 1. So you can use it at a lower level, but it's the same minimum level 3. The same exact everything else. Death block, natural armor bonus plus 2. Let's see if there's anything that's good. Not really. Maybe charisma, that would help my DCs, but plus 2 is... You know, I'm gonna... Oh, of course they are. I'm just gonna go with that. No. Let's get rid of that. And we'll equip it. We'll know that it's fancier. Even if the item itself doesn't know that. So his chalice is blue, but I can't pick it up again. I don't know why they do it that way. Her chalice is marked out because I need to be higher level. Okay. No, I'm not going to waste Expeditious Retreat. So there should be a Warlock Trainer here. There we go. So let's spend... Right, we want another level of that. We want Inhuman Nature. Poison Resist would have come in handy. And then we have to get points to unlock that. So... Run speed, meh. Debuff is handy. Consume sight. Universal spell power. Oof, that just affects consume. We'll go with Taint the Aura. Against targets marked by your consume attack, your melee range, and Eldritch Blast. Yeah, might as well. So I have... how many points left? Let's see, I spent 1, 2, 3. I should have 1 point left. But that takes 2. Targets targeted by stricken. Another debuff. Your flesh is weak, which is the stat damage. Burning Blood, spell-like ability, but that one has spell point cost. Still, another clicky is always nice. Ooh, Cone Eldritch Blast. That's what I want. Does do less damage, but man, that would be great for Air of Effects. And Charisma. Yeah, let's go with that for now. Yeah. Or I can take off that and just straight up get that. Because I don't really need... I mean, Fortification's good, but I don't think I need it right now. Okay. It's good. Universal, handy little debuff. And I'm gonna probably want Cone to be something I can toggle on and off easily. So we'll do like 1. Okay, that should help with dealing with like groups of kobolds, which is nice. My attack does do less damage, but whatever. Let's do some selling, see if I can buy some potions. I have crazy amounts of money for my level. Yeah, 2,400 platinum. Oh man, to have 2,400 platinum at level 3. Totally wish I could transfer any of this to like my Pathfinder character. Okay, I would like to trade. First off, repair, because stuff got wrecked. 45 plat from the gems. Sell like everything. It's cold. I'm gonna hold on to that. I don't know what your deal is. So that's 1,800. Okay, so I have 4,200 platinum. And you don't sell potions. Okay. Potion vendor. I would like to trade. Potion of Cure Light Wounds. Only 5 plat? That's not bad at all. Lesser Ardor. Spell power. Da, 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 da. I should probably buy some of those, but you know what? Let us buy... Is there a way to buy multiple? Control? Oh, control does... No? There we go. 36. Let's get 50 of them. 270. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, interesting. Huh. So I actually have to... Oh, okay. If I just toggle it off, I just lose it entirely. Because, yeah, I'm toggling off the Eldritch. Okay, that's how you switch. So I'm going to want both of those on my bar. Awesome. Well, yeah, I kind of wish I would have leveled up, but we got some good stuff. We almost died several times, which is always fun. And I will see you guys next time.